Today's assignment is a factoring review, and it's what we did on Wednesday, the factor by grouping, and what you did on Thursday, the factoring completely. So there's 6 that are factor by grouping and 6 that are factor completely. So I wanted to show you one more of each of them to get you started today. And I'm going to show you number 3 in the factoring by grouping section, because I think that's probably the hardest of the bunch. 16x cubed minus 12x squared. That's where I start with factor by grouping. I look at the first 2 things. 16 and 12. What number goes into 16 and 12? 4 does. X cubed and x squared has x squared in common, so I'm pulling out 4x squared. Then 4x squared times what is 16x cubed? Has to be 4x. Minus 4x squared times what is 12x squared? It has to be 3. So I factor that first part using GCF. Then for the second part, I come over here and I just write 4x minus 3. So I don't have to retry to factor that. And I just quickly divide. Negative 15 divided by negative 3 is positive 5. And I know I'm right because I can do distributive property. 5 times 4x gives me that 20x, and 5 times negative 3 gives me that negative 15 right there. Now remember, the idea of factor by grouping is you pull out what they both have. So I'm going to pull out that 4x minus 3. So that goes away and that goes away. And I write down my leftovers, 4x squared plus 5. So look at that 4x squared plus 5. Can that be factored? No, so you're done. There's no more factoring to do on that one. And I think that happens maybe one other time. I think that only happens one other time where you're done just at that second step. On all the others, you're going to have another step where you have to factor using difference of squares. So let's look at 7 through 12, and I think I'll go over, let's go over number 10. 12x to the 4th minus 15x to the 3rd plus 3x squared. 12, 15, and 3. Remember, your first step on factor completely is find the GCF. The GCF of 12, 15, and 3 is 3. For x to the 4th, x cubed, and x squared has to be x squared. So when I pull out that 3x squared times what is 12x to the 4th? It's 4x squared, because 3 times 4 is 12, x squared and x squared makes that x4. Minus 3 times what's 15? Has to be 5. X squared times what's x cubed? Has to be x. Plus 3 times what's 3? Has to be 1. Okay, so now I have to factor that leftover stuff, that 4x squared minus 5x plus 1. Because there's a number in front of the x squared, that means it's a my father drives a red Mustang. So I do 4 times 1 is 4. 2 numbers that multiply to 4 and add up to negative 5 has to be 1 and 4. But because that 5 is negative, they're both negative. The next step in my father drives a red Mustang is divide by 4 and divide by 4. Now reduce. Negative 1 over 4th doesn't reduce, but negative 4 over 4 does. It reduces to negative 1 over 1. So when I write that, I get 4x minus 1 because I write from the bottom up. And then negative 1 over 1 from the bottom up is x minus 1. But remember that 3x squared that was out there, you have to also bring that down as part of your answer. And there you go. You're going to have the rest of the time to work. This will be graded on Monday. I expect you to work, so be on your best behavior and use your time wisely so that you can get this done in class. Thank you.